it goes. You're almost.
Emma.
Is that?
You can keep going. Stop right there.
Stop
That's
here.
where it stops.
Okay,
That's
on this
perfect.
side.
And then like the
Arbor, you can take that shirt and get out of here.
and then the line. Nope, the line. Yep.
Really, that line?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what you get.
We're in Yale University.
Can you bully a student like that? I don't think you can.
I'm being bullied right now. I am the victim here. She knows I'm from Ohio. I'm the victim here. That's my next t-shirt. I'm the victim here. Kirk, would you mind getting the door, please? We're doing test review today for the test that is not on Friday, but on Monday. And we have a student out. His name is Mark, so we'll call him Mark. And he asked me to record this, so here we go. But before we get into homework or test things, we need to do something that's even more important and show you the thing that I got caught up on last time. I'll show you how it goes. Okay, consider the sentence. It was 38 yards away. That looks a lot like this other sentence. Something like this. This happened 7 days ago. Okay, these are like deceptively complicated to diagram. We looked at something like this, and I was staring at it, if you remember, for the last 5 minutes of class, and I went cross-eyed, and I like what? How do I don't. Okay, if we look at this one, it might be a little bit more clarifying. Valerie, do you mind sitting in the second row or third row, I guess, this time? Just for the sake of the camera. What was I saying? Okay, so what kind of verb is this? Transitive, intransitive, or linking?
Intransitive.
Intransitive, okay. You can't happen something. So, this happened. Okay, and nothing goes here, no subject complement, no direct object. So what on earth do we do with these words? What kind of a word is days? You'd think.
Oh.
You'd think. Yeah, that's the correct answer. It is a noun. However, you can do you remember phrasal verbs? Because they're on the test. Phrasal verbs. Okay, a verb phrase and phrasal verbs are two different things. A verb phrase is just all the verbs that compose the verb of the sentence, the main verb of the sentence. So, he, capital H, he was running, dang, I can't spell today, late. This looks like two words, it's one. For the sake of grammar, it's one. Why? Because in Latin it would have been one, and that's the answer, and so it goes. So that's a verb phrase. He was running. Two words. It's a phrase that make together make one verb. Okay. A phrasal verb is a little bit different. He looks down. So like looked versus look down, that means two different things. This means what, judges, or like does not like, that kind of thing. He looks down on furries. He looks down on furries. Sorry, but he does. So this is a verb phrase. This is a phrasal verb. Again, this is on the test. This is on the test, but it's not news. I've thrown this at you before. A phrasal verb is when you append a what looks like an adverb to the verb, but it doesn't modify the verb. It doesn't just like slightly modify. Like I can look up. I looked up at the bird. Okay, that's not a phrasal verb because looking and looking up, that it means basically the same thing. It just slightly modifies the direction. A phrasal verb is one in which this completely revises the sense. Okay, looking and looking down. Ooh, looking down on. Ooh. You almost tricked me. You could looking down on. Could you do upon? But that would sound old.
That's what
Old is
it
good.
Ooh.
Like you look down upon someone.
You can frown upon. Look down upon.
Frown upon me.
Okay. Is this part of the phrasal verb? Oh, why do I do this? I'm on camera. I have to think about that. Anyway, the point stands. The point stands that whether or not we include on, I'm going to say no. I'm just going to say it requires a preposition required, but not necessarily that preposition. Looks down is a different verb than looks. Okay? Phrasal verb, verb phrase. Are you ready to be tested on this?
Yeah.
Nope. Questions?
Two different things.
Can I clarify?
Yes.
Okay.
On an innocence diagram, looks down would be in this, that whole thing would be in the.
Great question. Yeah, there's a good question for you. He
That's a verb.
looks down. Okay, yeah, and this does clarify that I don't want that in.
Okay.
Phrasal and verb
On
phrase.
first. Thank you for that, because that solves the problem I was having. Yes?
I'm going to point to the homework for this question.
Oh no.
So, in sentence 3, would not cross, would that be a phrasal verb? Because like would cross?
Would is modal, okay? Would is, well, let me put it this way. That is an auxiliary verb.
I was about to say it's
Auxiliary, in the way that is can be, in here, was is the auxiliary. And we just pop those two, we pop the auxiliary with the other verb form
Okay, so
together, and that's the verb. However, you said would not. Not is not.
not is not in there, it's
Not
would
is not
cross
part
and
of
then
it,
tack the not.
Yeah. So yeah, not is an adverb.
Yeah, that's how
Not
I,
is an adverb. Not
that
an
is
adverb.
how I did it.
Yeah.
I
Good.
promise. It's would cross and then the.
Yep. That's exactly right. So looks down. So you would have something like would cross. Okay. So for the sake of just diagramming, these actually come out the same. The phrasal verbs and the verb phrases, they're both going to go in that one verb slot. You're going to have more than one word in the verb slot. You can have 3. Could you have more than 3? Maybe I'd have to think about it. I know for sure you can have at least 3, maybe more. I'd have to think of an example, which I don't have off the top of my head. Okay, verb phrase, phrasal verbs on the test, 100%. Anything else? That was
Bless you.
reasonable compared to past things.
I'm still kind of confused. on
Yeah. Yep.
How to differentiate between the two.
Between,
Verbal phrase and phrasal verb.
yeah, so has an auxiliary,
Okay.
does not. Actually, you really wanna mess it up?
Yeah.
Let's mess it up. You wanna get nuts? Let's get nuts. He Batman quotes. He was looking down. This is both.
Okay.
It has an auxiliary verb and it has this phrasal construction.
Okay.
And so again,
So having
in terms of diagramming, it's actually not. It's no big thing. It's not a big shift. It's gonna look the same either way.
so
but-
So if it has an auxiliary verb, it's a
Yeah.
phrasal.
It is a verb phrase.
It's a verb phrase.
So
Yeah.
that whole thing is a verb
This
phrase,
is
no
both.
longer a phrasal
Okay.
verb.
What, Mallory?
So that whole thing is a verb phrase instead of a phrasal verb now?
It is both. This is both. It is a verb phrasal verb. Yeah. Verb phrase with a phrasal verb. Okay. You can be one or the other or both or neither. You can just be a verb. Yes.
How do you explain auxiliary? Like,
Auxiliary verb is one that changes the tense or mode. Okay, I haven't gone into mode, and I'm not going to ask you about mode ever. But mode is like could or would or like some alternate to reality. Okay? It's called the subjunctive, but again, I'm not going to ask you these things. So it can change it can change the tense, was, running, had, jumped. Okay, any one of those helping verbs. Maybe in high school they called them helping verbs. That's the exact same thing that I'm talking about. Helping, auxiliary. And they, you know, in English we do this weird thing of adding a whole other word to achieve the tense that we want to do. Other languages don't do
it's
that.
just
Not, you know,
conjugation.
yeah, like Latin, for example. You just put on more endings.
Greek does the same thing.
In Greek does the same thing. Are there cases in Latin where you do add a word? I think actually there are. I need to go back to my Latin. But most of the time you just add some kind of weird ending and you change the tense. And there's more than two tenses. There's more than three. It's not just past, present, and future. There's like, again, I'm not testing you on this stuff, but just so you know, auxiliary verbs either mess around with tense or mode. You would run late. You would run late too if you had 4 little kids. Trust me, it's a problem.
What about if we said he was still running?
He was still running, was running, and then still is going to be your adverb. Some say he runs still to this day.
He scored a goal.
So what does all that have to do with this happened 7 days ago?
So what is what?
So what does this have to do with this happened 7 days ago?
Right. So you do need to know phrasal verbs. Here is a phrasal adverb. Phrasal adverb. I looked it up because I was like, the book, if it mentions this, I haven't seen it. Let me put it that way. Days ago, how many days ago? 7. Checked with the New York Times, of all places. They did a big article on this and did something very similar. So I picked one that had an intransitive verb just to make clear that the 38 yards away, I wanted to put it as some sort of subject complement. That was my first thought. It's not. The way to think about this, according to the experts apparently, is phrasal adverb. Who knew? Right. So same structure for it was yards away.
Why wouldn't it be like an adverbial?
Yeah, you'd think. You mean this situation?
Yeah. Because it's describing.
The honest answer is I don't know. But this is, I checked with the experts and this is what they say. So if I wanted to justify what they're saying, even though it's kind of counterintuitive to me, what I would say is you must understand these things. When they go together, it's neither a noun, it's again, I'm always going back to my thing. English is a platypus. We're trying to do biology around this thing, but it just doesn't obey. It just doesn't cooperate from time to time. And so you just shrug and say, we're doing the best we can. Okay. It's certainly the case that this is acting adverbial-y. We can, no question there. If someone put on a test something like days ago, like 7, if someone did that, I would have a real hard time counting that wrong, because it just, you're indicating ultimately the same thing, that
Yeah.
this is acting like an adverb. You're observing this is a noun, and I kind of told you to do that. But again, this is what the experts say. And so I just have to rely on expertise here. Yep,
English acting like a chimera.
fun. I've got some other fun sentences that are deceptively complicated, but we're not gonna have the time, so. And I don't need to confuse you right before the exam. All right. Let's look at some of these sentences that I gave you, or the book gave you anyway. They were challenging. Did you notice how challenging they were? That's what I thought anyway.
Yes.
Yes?
Do you care to put what's on the test real quick?
Okay. So I said phrasal verbs. Nothing should surprise you. It's just the stuff we've been going over, and I'll go down the list. Phrasal verbs, a question about that is on there. This test is going to be a little different. It's going to ask you to diagram, was it 8, 10, 12 sentences, somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't remember the exact number. It's going to ask you to diagram a number of sentences. That's section 1 and section 2 of 2, only 2 sections. Section 2 will ask you to do things like look for a phrasal verb. That question is right from the test. Identify a phrasal verb in the preceding sentences. Look at this sentence. What's the direct object? Look at that sentence. Give me an object of the preposition. This sort of thing. What is the, write down the independent clause in this sentence, or write down the dependent or subordinate clause, same thing, in that sentence.
So the second part's just identifying
Just a,
something of a sentence.
yeah, like if you diagram them properly,
Yeah.
then it should be very straightforward.
Yeah.
If. So, it's just kind of like putting language to the nice pretty graphs you've drawn.
Oh, so like the 8 to 12 sentences that we're diagramming
Yeah.
are going to be the subject, like the subject of 2.
Yeah, I'm not giving you new sentences, I'm asking you about
Okay.
the ones you just diagrammed. Okay, so again, if you diagrammed them well, those questions ought to be pretty easy.
Okay.
Ought.
Let's hope.
Okay. Oh yeah, so one thing we are definitely going over today is be able to articulate the difference between a subordinating conjunction, versus a relative pronoun. Relative pronoun. And the diagramming of each. Know your adverbials, know your adjectivals. We've been doing those for a long time. And those are those are the main points I had written down. It's gonna be a lot of diagramming, really. Okay.
What do you mean by the difference between a subordinating conjunction and relative pronoun?
Just know it. Just know it.
Relative pronouns are the like who. Okay.
That's right. They can be who, which, that, those kind of things. And this is definitely not exhaustive. Subordinating conjunctions, I don't know, give me one.
Like after.
After,
Until.
when, until. Okay. These things can also be prepositions. So this is not exhaustive, they're not this way all the time, but they are often this or that. How do you know, let's look at after. How do you know if after is acting like a subordinate conjunction, subordinating conjunction, or how do you know it's acting like a preposition? How would you know for sure in a given sentence?
If it's followed by a subject and a verb, It would be a subordinating
Yep,
conjunction.
yep. Does it head off, is it followed by both a noun and a verb? Then it has to be a conjunction, subordinating conjunction. Is it followed by just a noun? After dinner. That's a prepositional phrase. Okay? You look at the word itself, that's not enough information. You have to look at what comes afterward. And you look in the dictionary and it'll say, you know, could be a conjunction, could be a preposition, depends. Okay? Let's put some of this stuff to work. Number one, okay, since today I thought was kind of the extra spicy versions, I'm gonna stay up here and do these instead of putting you guys on the spot. The clown acting silly. Oh, before you go, do you know how to diagram a participial?
I'll watch.
Ta-da!
Oh,
Uh,
is that?
Just the
I was wondering about
Acting
that.
silly.
I saw a picture of it.
Oh. I straight up did that
Okay, so you see what I did? There are examples, if you look on the preceding pages, where the ing, the participial, the ing, or sometimes the ed, past participial, it's just kind of, just kind of there.
It's a curvy boy.
It's a curvy boy.
No more dashy boy?
No, curvy boys and dashy boys.
Yeah, we can live, the world is big enough. For sure.
Both curvy boys and dashy boys.
This is in the book, look it up. In the back, you can look up participial, and it'll show you this, different pages where this occurs.
Acting as the curvy boy and sleeping you the dashy boy.
Disgusting.
The clown acting silly to entertain. Uh-oh. What's that thing called? Infinitive. What's it acting like? Noun, adjective, or adverb? Adverb is right.
Okay.
Is it children? How are we doing? Questions? Does this make sense? If this does not make sense, say, this does not make sense.
Can we do another one that is not that sentence first?
We will, but first we're gonna do one that is this sentence.
Okay.
Uh,
Just like in the near future.
Yeah, we're almost done.
Fantabulous.
Clown. Okay. What? Oops. One. Was not funny. Very. Did I miss anything? The clown acting silly to entertain children. Was not funny. Very. Ta-da! Easy. It's so easy. So what did we learn? We need to know how to do participles. That looks like this. We need to know how to do infinitives, which are very similar, quite similar actually. And that looks like this. The thing about infinitives is that they can be, an infinitive can act like what three parts of speech? Adjective, noun, and noun, adjective, adverb. Okay? Whereas a participial always acts like a adjective. Adjective. Which it does here, and we know for sure because it's hooked up to a noun, a clown. Okay.
clown now.
Acting. Okay, somebody explain to me why this is backslash? Why is this a backslash and not an up and down?
In what way is he acting rather than?
In what way? What is that? Ferris Bueller? Sorry. I watched a lot of John
Is
Cleese
it
movies.
because acting is intransitive?
linking. It's linking.
Okay.
Okay, it's like the way he
Oh.
is being. He is being silly. Okay, so you could, the clown being silly to entertain the children. It sounds a little off, but it's the same idea. Okay. Because, you know, how can I explain this? It's certainly not a direct object because it's not a noun. It's certainly not an adverb because the adverb of silly would be like what? Sillily? Like that's, no one would say that. Gotta be an adjective. Gotta be an adjective. And if it's an adjective, that's like, there's nowhere else to go. We're out of options. It is a complement to the participle.
So the straight dash,
Yes.
that would separate, like, to entertain children, we do that when there's like another noun?
Yeah, and specifically what kind of noun? Direct object.
Okay, yeah, that doesn't, yeah.
And be careful because you can, you can have a, was a problem. Okay. Okay. You can have a noun here. That's called the subject complement. An object complement can be a noun too. So that's not really a good test.
Okay.
Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? That's not a good test because direct objects can be noun. Direct objects must be nouns. Subject complements, object complements can be nouns. They can also be adjectives. So it's not dispositive to throw a big word at you. Okay, back to here. Anything else? Yes,
Which one did you say was diagramming infinitive?
this here, that's the infinitive, okay? So the infinitives end up looking just like prepositional phrases with to. Is that helpful or confusing? I don't know. But like a prepositional phrase with to, you'd put, I'm going to school would be to, and then school here. So actually you can write it the same way. But just, you know that that is a infinitive. Infinitives. Infinitives are the worst because they can be a noun, an adjective, or an adverb. Participles are nicer. They're only going to be adjectives. And then gerunds are in the next chapter.
So this is moving down a little bit.
Yep.
But, not much. How do you differentiate between an appositive versus all the other stuff? Cause,
Bad question. Let's move on. Let's not worry about that because that's not on the test.
cause who is something sounds like an appositive.
Who is? Oh, okay. It sounds like an appositive, but don't think of it as an appositive. Think of it as an object
How do
complement.
I think of it as that? So like, again, is there a test for it? Versus, I assume it's because there's a presence of a verb.
Jeremiah,
Well,
and I know I'm kind of butchering the lyrics, but I'm trying to make a point. Okay, get off my back. Jeremiah the bullfrog was a good friend of mine. Okay. Yep. So we have an appositive. What is the appositive? Okay. Yeah, well, the bullfrog, right? And what is the subject complement?
friend.
Friend.
Yeah, I mean, would you like all of this? But yeah, like specifically friend. Yeah. So we have an appositive and a subject complement. The appositive is, this is maybe the best way to think of it. The appositive is on the same side of the linking verb. Subject complement's on the other side of the linking verb. Remember I said the linking verb is an equal sign? Think of it like that. So what side of the equal sign are we on? Question?
Yes, so number 2 has the like, is better than the person. I don't know.
Van. Don't get me started on
Yeah,
van.
how do you
What
do
in the
that?
world was that?
Yeah.
I looked it up, it was a conjunction, but I was like, what does
Like,
that
do you
mean?
Okay,
have
so if you look
dash
at,
thing?
yeah, if you look at, I think if you look at the Oxford English Dictionary, which is like the authority in language as far as I'm concerned, on the English language. I believe last time I checked, than was a conjunction. And it, in fact, it is. However, wouldn't it be easier to conceive of than as a preposition? And if you look at, I think, Merriam-Webster will list than as a preposition. And it comes down to this. He's faster than I versus he's faster than me. Okay. Which one would you say? I would say this one, if I'm just casually speaking and not considering. He's faster than I. Sounds terrible. However, the authorities, the Oxford English Dictionary, wants you to do this. And Tolkien wrote it, so it must be right. How do you account for this? Then I, that sounds wrong. Why does Tolkien want you to write like this?
Because I mean, like, he's faster than I am.
Yeah. Then
But
I,
you wouldn't say he's faster than me am.
right. Okay. And that's why that's why you say than, because you understand. Sorry. That's why you say I, because you understand than is a conjunction, and you've just left off the verb. A conjunction, a subordinating conjunction must be followed by a noun and a verb. Okay. So we just have to imagine that there's a verb there. Like, I'm on camera, so like, no. I'll just say no. Like, no. This just, like, let's just call it a preposition. Like, who's gonna, I don't think anyone's gonna riot. If you understand it as a preposition, it just gets so much easier.
How would you diagram it like after or when, those things?
Okay, let's do, just, you know, it's not that big a deal, honestly. Look at your dashy boy, the dashed one, all hail.
Okay.
He is faster than I am,
Would
or, here's your other option, if you want to go preposition, which I would certainly,
Why is it going is an I rather than is am?
oh, you
And also,
happy?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Clarification?
Nope, that's correct. That is definitely,
so whenever it doesn't have a verb after the thing, that's like he's faster than I. If it was just he's faster than I, how would you diagram that?
oh, right,
Would you just okay?
yeah,
So
that's not there.
like in the example, then the person who tries nothing and succeeds is.
I refuse.
I thought it was two separate.
What?
Because okay, so number two.
Well, I don't understand what your question actually was.
Is like, so because it doesn't have the verb after it, you just put it in parentheses.
Yeah, let's just throw this one up. And that will hopefully clarify.
Can we diagram two?
Huh?
Can we diagram two?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, fantastic, wonderful.
Oops, I already goofed. Gosh, this one stinks. Okay, guys, we're to than. You tell me, where do I put than?
Can I tell you what I did?
Yep,
Doesn't mean it's right.
yep.
I I did than on a dashy boy from better to person. I'm not gonna pretend that I know for a fact that's right, because I don't.
Ooh. Well, that's complicated.
I thought there was.
I was gonna go from the verb, but you make a good point. Hmm. I think I'm still gonna hang on to the verb.
Also, would infinitely not go under better?
Yeah, I was
Okay,
gonna say
that
the
was
same
gonna
thing.
be question numero dos.
Okay, that one is right. I do. Uh, and,
Whoa.
wait.
This is a monster. It's no longer a pre-built platforms.
Oh shoot. The person who tries. Oh, I got it. Got it. Got it. You thought I was gonna get it. Something else.
We got you, man. Greek heroes.
Yeah.
How do we handle the extra who?
Yeah.
More dashy
Just keeps going.
Realization. Realization. Than the person. Prepositional phrase, and then we go into the who.
Well, hold on.
Then
Who?
person is better.
Yeah, the other person would be prepositional phrase if than is supposed to be a preposition.
Tries nothing.
And then succeeds. Why?
Okay, so like just for the record, just to like ease your, dyspepsia at this point, that means stomachache. This is not on the test. This is more complicated than what I'm going to throw at the test. However, if you get this, you are in a very good place. Did I get every word? Fact checkers? Did I miss any words?
The fact checkers are
the
confused because
these.
than the person would be a prepositional
Everyone
phrase.
wants to be so much smarter than that.
No.
No, I'm confused.
Who? Can you explain a thing to me?
Yeah, so I had to add, the. Okay, look what I did. Look at what I did. I'm so smart. SMRT. Is you have that situation again where you have to supply the verb. And this is why I don't like than. This is why I don't like than. This is why than frustrates me. But it's in the English language, so here we are. The way I did this is I considered than to be a conjunction. I considered than to be a conjunction. We're talking about conjunctions. And it sets off this clause, dependent clause. And I was confused for a second because I was like, where's my verb? Oh yeah, than. Than like eats up the verb. But so I supplied is. And I put it in brackets to indicate that's not there in the original sentence.
I'm just,
I won't do this to you.
when I'm
But,
trying to think
yeah.
through the sentence,
Yeah.
including the is,
Yeah.
it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Then the person is, okay,
Who?
the person,
The person is who.
the person who
tries
blah 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 blah
something.
is infinitely better than the person is
Who?
who.
tries nothing and succeeds.
Yeah, so here's, okay, let's bracket off than for a second and let's just look at the relative pronoun. We have two, not one but two relative clauses here. What is a relative pronoun? What is a relative clause? Here's some relative pronouns. Oh look, we have one. Hooray. Okay. How are these two things similar? These two things are similar in that they are head words, as the book puts them. They are words that begin a subordinate clause. Words that begin a subordinate clause. Going to be followed by a noun and a verb. Ish. Here's the thing. This itself can act as the noun in its own clause. This can act as the noun in its own clause. Doesn't have to. In this case, it does. Who? Okay. We have, look at this dasheroo. Blank. Okay. This dash has a than on it because it's one of these. This dash is blank because its word is here. That's the secret. Yes.
Can you explain to me?
Nope.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna leave.
Yep.
Why it's from is, why the dashy boy is from is instead of better?
Gosh
Because
Yeah.
if I'm wrong, I want to know why,
dang. Yeah.
so I can fix it.
You would ask that.
You're welcome.
Of course we do.
Okay.
There's a
Because
reason I'm working.
Because unless I am much mistaken, these like looking through to make sure I'm not going to get this wrong. Yeah, because I'm attacking you.
Fair enough. I'm gonna go complain to Schmidt later.
That
Yeah,
also
it's
just feels like a.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm so scared that what I'm about to say is wrong that I'm checking it before I say it.
You should be scared.
I should be scared. I should have
We're gonna access this
some
video.
some healthy fear of grammar. And what I want to say, and what I am 90% sure is true, I'm just going to say it. Adjectival. And verb. Can you think of an exception? I can't think of an exception. I think this is correct. Okay, so if subordinating conjunctions are adverbials,
Mhm.
I've got a phone right here.
I'm sorry, I'm the worst.
No, this is a very good question. It just when I went back and Googled, like when I got that stumper from last class, and I went back and Googled it, it was actually kind of reassuring just for me because experts scratch their heads at some of this stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm not totally here.
Can you almost just a little bit louder?
What?
It's alright. Could you almost just a little bit louder so I can hear as well?
Yeah.
It's quite comical, by the way.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Than what I'm waiting on.
I'm gonna go home and check and just make sure, and email you before the test. But I am 90% sure that this is a useful heuristic. Okay. That, what am I talking about? That subordinating conjunctions, if you lead off a subordinate clause with a subordinating conjunction, you have an adverbial clause. Adverbial clause. That's the answer to why did I link verb to verb? Because it's an adverb clause. Okay? Whereas these relative pronouns, Because I'm answering like when questions, and I'm like racking my brain right now in front of you, trying to come up with an example that's not like time, or why. Okay, like because, there's one, that's not time. I went to the store because I was out of milk. Adverbial, it's explaining why, and that's an adverb question. Do you see? Does that make sense to you? It doesn't look like it makes sense to you.
What you just said makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, the rules that you are giving to me make sense to me.
Okay.
I don't understand how it applies.
Oh, okay.
That's where
Yeah.
I am. I'm
Okay.
trying to figure out why
Yeah.
it's linked to is as opposed to better, because like in my mind I'm thinking the person is than person is, as opposed to the person is better than person is. Does that
So you want to take it from better to is?
I was trying
Because
to
that
take
would- I
it from
see,
better
like-
to person. Which is what I
Okay,
did
so
from
better,
originally.
so we wanted hook like to like, and better is an adjective,
Mhm.
and person is a noun.
Okay, that tracks.
Okay.
I'm following.
Okay. If
That's
so,
what I was trying to get to.
yeah.
Sorry.
So person to who?
Mhm.
Like this is a noun. This is a pronoun, relative pronoun. Is a verb to verb, and you're gonna see if you flip through the verb book, you're gonna see whenever you see a dash, same adjectives dash to adjectives, a verb linked to a verb, a noun to a pronoun. Yeah, noun to pronoun, same thing, right? For this context. Yeah, I'm just flipping through here trying to think, you know, I'm always trying to think what breaks this rule, because often there are plenty of things. But in this case, I'm coming up blank, which is good. This rule works. Town where? No, that holds. Town where?
That makes sense. You want to
Okay.
hook like to like.
Yeah.
I track with that.
Yep.
Thank you for
Good.
following me.
Yes.
Okay, this is a series of things, which is gonna be
You have
Just-
4 minutes.
plain wrong. I
Good.
know it's wrong.
Okay.
Perfectly aware of that, but I would like
Okay.
to know why it's wrong.
Okay.
What kind of word is a to what extent?
Whoo. I want to be the very best that there ever was. What kind of best? That there ever was. Okay, not just the best currently, but the best in any given timeline.
Okay,
To
so,
what extent do you want to be the best ever?
okay, so, taking that,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so that actually helped clarify a thing, cause I
Good.
was wondering, better than.
Oh, come on.
If
Often
we
does the trick.
combined it, than is what extent of better.
Yeah.
But since it's an adverb, not an adjective, it makes sense to, well, then again, adverbs modify adjectives and better is an adjective, so there's also that.
Yes, that is exactly correct.
But also, so, than almost feels like a to what extent for better.
Yeah.
And so if we have it as that, then we can go person to person.
Okay. I am not going to put than on the test.
Thank you.
Let us ditch. It's not on the test. I already did the
So
test.
it's not
Than is not on there. It is a trash conjunction. Because I think it's just so much more elegant to just make it a preposition, and all these problems melt away. And the way you talk and the way I talk, we talk as if it's a preposition, like when we're not thinking about it. When I'm not being self-conscious, I hate then I. Like, yes, it's correct. But it's just so old sounding that nobody does it
Descriptive versus
anymore.
prescriptive.
Give up. Right? Like, yeah, like look, maybe that's how we should talk. Here's how we do talk. I'm over it. Yeah.
So, in which,
Would
would it
yeah.
would it just be like the dash to which and then
It's
in
it's the solid into a dash. Do you remember this trick?
Oh.
Again, I told you at the time I wasn't gonna do in which either.
Okay, good. Good. That's-
Um,
we're good. Don't even matter.
Yeah, you know what? We're not even gonna go down that rabbit hole.
There it
Yeah.
is.
Could we look at 7 maybe?
7. Okay, 7. We only have time for one more, and kind of not even, but I'll do it. What's Ashton? What's the subject of 7?
I said I,
Yep.
okay,
I has to be the subject.
okay.
Well, it can be a subject of a independent or a dependent clause, but it has to be a subject. And what's the verb?
Said,
Said. And what does he say?
he said nothing.
That part's easy. Drawing. What is drawing hooked up to? I. Participial. Participial. Okay, we're going over that now. And now you know how to do a participial. And actually, honestly, from here, I think this is easy from here. What do I put on?
On drawing,
On what goes here?
command,
Command. Was it my find? Where does of go?
like another preposition.
Here?
Yes.
Yep. Of
English language?
Yeah.
Though? Okay,
language.
language. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Drawing on my find command of the English language. I said no.
Okay.
That's something that could be on the test. That one's not overly complicated, but it's mid-complicated. Okay, you have to know how to do participial. You have to know where each of these prepositions goes. Okay? Know what your preposition is modifying. You have to know that, and you do have to know how to do participles as well as infinitives. If any of that is confusing, look in the back of the book. Where do I participles? I know I'm over time.
That's okay.
Participles, page 68, 136, 145. Look it up. It's right there. Okay? The back of the book is your friend. I am going to post this online and send out the link. And what else did I say I was going to look up?
You sent it to me.
Yep. Already forgot.
Same. I think you answered it actually.
Did I get there?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we got there.
Oh, it was this whole thing.
Because I kept asking and
Adverbial.
asking.
Must a subordinating conjunction be an adverbial? And I'm 90% sure. And I want to be 100% sure. Yeah. Okay, guys. Look for that link. And then Monday, we're going to have a little